So it appears that the USA is looking to bail out Argentina, as these are the headlines today. U.S. Treasury chief hints at Argentina financial rescue. We have not been talking about this at all. This has been just like popped up today and was like, what? And I'll just tell you the truth. If Fox News doesn't talk about this at all today, that means it's even bigger than I think, because Fox News often tries to hide the biggest stories of the day. And honestly, guys, I don't know why we're bailing out Argentina if that's indeed what's going to happen when the USA is broke. And essentially, the USA is trying to get other countries to invest in the USA, right? That's been the plan of Trump. I'm going to put tariffs on everything, and you all build factories in the USA because we're broke. And Americans are struggling, unemployment's going up, and Trump is cutting tons of programs. Now, what's interesting is that Musk, Milei, and Trump have all been hanging out together, right? So Milei is the president of Argentina. And effectively, Musk has been saying, hey, let's be like Argentina. Let's cut federal workers. Let's cut government programs. And I mean, okay, so is that our plan, to cut everything? And then I guess if we follow Argentina, then the USA needs a bailout? Is that our plan? And you guys may not know this. This has actually been big news here in Korea. The USA is currently trying to extort cash from Korea. No, seriously. And I've mentioned before on the channel, like, why does the USA need cash? And the number's been 350 billion. And it's been like the strangest thing. And then we also know that the USA is trying to get a bunch of money from Japan also. So again, just put it together. USA is talking about bailing out Argentina, and the USA is also talking about getting cash from Asian partners. So, I mean, it's not hard to figure out the math here, right? and then also too, the Trumpy plan is get as much, crypto deregulation as possible, which obviously allows for bribes and any number of things. And then you got Musk hanging out at the Charlie Kirk, memorial thing, probably asking for bailouts and money himself, since Musk is struggling. Like, these things don't add up. And the long story short, you should just know that Trump is mostly interested in helping himself and his billionaire buddies. Now, this is the actual tweet where this is, Besant gives, I guess, quote, reason. I'll show you what it is. From Scott Besant. Argentina is systemically important U.S. ally in Latin America, and the U.S. Treasury stands ready to do what is needed within its mandate to support Argentina. This is the tweet. All options for stabilization are on the table. Okay. And again, I just want to remind you, what about the just average Americans who are struggling to put food on the table? Because again, inflation's going up, unemployment's going up, and Trump could give a rat's butt like what Americans are thinking. Like, okay, so this is Treasury Secretary Besant. He says, these options may include, but not limited to, swap lines, direct currency purchases, and purchases of U.S. dollar-denominated government debt from Treasury's Exchange Stabilization Fund. Okay, opportunities for private investment remain expansive, and Argentina will be great again. Again, I just pose this question to you: is why are we bailing out Argentina when regular Americans are struggling? It doesn't add up. Other than, like I said, Trump wants a retirement place to go to after the White House because he's worried about getting arrested or whatever. If you look at what the White House is saying today, okay, this is what they're tweeting out, and you want to watch Karen Levitt, you can. But she's like, we want clean funding extension to keep the government open. Okay, so I guess we're worried about whether or not the government's going to close, and they're going to blame the Democrats, of course they are. Then they're going to say, pay no attention to this bribery story of one of our people, Tom Homan. Just pay no attention to the bribery story, even though the FBI is like, yep, this dude's definitely taking bribes, trying to get government contracts, and they're like, don't pay attention to that. That's what they're going to say. And then they'll tell you like how awesome the economy is in USA. This is literally from the White House. They say, positive economic data continues to pour in. That's according to them. Brand new polling shows that Americans' faith in the economy and the direction of the nation is back on track and shooting even higher. And that's not what the polling that I've been seeing. And you guys also know on the ground, do you feel like the U.S. economy is doing awesome and you're doing great? So the White House keeps telling you that. They say, wow, mortgage rates are down. That's what they say. They say the annual cost of a new vehicle is down as if you're going to buy a new car. And they say your wages are up. They say the market is at the high, and they say gas is cheap. That's literally what they're saying. Something doesn't add up here, guys. And this is actually coming from Wall Street. This is a Wall Street Journal. This is a story today. Black Swan Messenger sees huge rally, then 1929 crash. And why are we rallying, you may ask? Well, the whole rally in the market these days has all been about AI, artificial intelligence right, and investment in data centers. And this has been the whole Trump plan, okay? I just want to explain it to you because I always have to tell it to you because it sounds so stupid, but this is actually their plan. They say all the time that, look how great we are. Look at all these investments in America because we're building data centers. And what's the goal of these data centers? To get a bunch of automation and AI and robots to replace you, the workers. Because following Milei in, say, Argentina, they want to cut as many workers as possible, be it in the private sector or at the federal government. They just want to cut workers because workers are expensive. Who needs workers, right? That's their whole point of view. And we'll bring in the AI. And then Musk is like, hey, I got AI. I can sell it to you, right? See how this game is played? But like, it doesn't, none of it makes sense. So what if the AI is not ready? What if the AI doesn't work, which we already know it's not ready and doesn't work? And then what about all the workers that are laid off? How are they going to fit into the economy when 70% roughly of the economy is basically consumerism, right? Like, how does this even add up? If you're cutting jobs of consumers, how did they buy the products you're trying to sell them? And so you get these like crazy stories, NVIDIA to invest up to $100 billion in OpenAI. They want to build more data centers, etc. And again, the plan is to replace all of you. And then you get these other things. And I'm just trying to show you like what Trump is up to and why this whole bailout of Argentina is insane. But, you know, from Trump's point of view, as long as it puts money in him and his billionaire's pocket, I guess that's what he wants. This is the other headline today. TikTok algorithm to be overseen by Oracle and Trump deal. So the idea is they're trying to figure out, okay, how can we take control of TikTok from the American point of view? China's still going to own it, but just the American version, I guess they're going to try to put more control. And they've been negotiating that. And I promise you, from Trump's point of view, he's just like, I just want lots of followers on TikTok and people are going to follow me on TikTok. and what it boils down to is, you know, while people are struggling, again, unemployment's going up, inflation's going up. But if you know, you tune into TikTok and all the young people are watching TikTok and then they just see all these videos of how awesome Trump is, I mean, is that going to work? Is that going to convince Americans that you all have jobs and stuff like that? And I always tell you the truth on this stuff, guys. You know, regardless of what the White House says or what their numbers are, right? Meaning that what the White House tells you the numbers are, you know your own situation. You know the price of, you know, at the store, you know, right? You know the price at the pump. You know how the job situation is among your family and friends. So regardless of what the White House tells you, and basically they just tell you a bunch of lies all the time, and they tell you how awesome we are and how everyone's, you know, doing good. They try to make you feel like that you're all alone. They try to make you feel like that, you know, oh no, it's just you. You just need to work harder. But I'm telling you the truth, guys, systemically, like meaning as a whole, a lot of people are struggling right now. And again, this is the game that they're playing is bailouts for their billionaire buddies. I guess we're bailing out Argentina to fund the bailouts. We're trying to get money from partners in Asia, be it Korea or Japan. I don't think China's going to be interested in that because one of the things that Trump's been pissing off China lately. And so then China's like, I'm not buying your crap anymore. And then the USA has been struggling. I mean, like a lot of this stuff doesn't add up. And let me show you another one, which also kind of fits into understanding the Trump policy. So Trump's trying to take control of the Fed, okay? And he puts one of his own people in there. This is Miran. And Miran today was saying, hey, you know, we need to lower rates. He was talking about 2%, which is kind of nuts. I'll read it. It says here, that rate, which was likely overestimated in the past, has been lowered recently by tariffs, immigration restrictions, and tax policy, Miran argued, okay? That means interest rates should be much lower to prevent damaging the economy. So he wants to lower rates. So, okay, here's a quote. The upshot is that monetary policy is well into restrictive territory. So he thinks rates are too high and they're about 4% right now. And he says, leaving short-term interest rates roughly 2%, 2 percentage points too tight risks unnecessary layoffs and higher unemployment. Okay. So for one of Trump's people, and then we give perspective, inflation's at around 3% right now. Okay. He wants to put rates under inflation, which is a disastrous move that'll force inflation even higher. And then this is like, okay, so what they're trying to do is basically encourage yet more borrowing in the USA and maybe try to bail out their all real estate developer buddies. But for the average person, it won't work. I'm telling you, you don't want to lower rates that much. Don't want to lower rates under inflation. It's a really, really bad idea. But you know, when has Donald Trump ever come up with a good idea? not at all. And I'm always honest with you guys. I just tell you what's going on. And I'm honestly really concerned about this one. We have not been talking about bailing out Argentina at all. This suddenly pops up, and then Besant, who tweets out this bizarre stuff lately Like, for example, Besant, if you've been following what he's been talking about, is like, hey, we're going to bail out the Treasury with all this crypto stuff. No, seriously, they literally talk about crypto stuff. They talk about AI stuff. And now, again, we're trying to extort money from Asian partners. And then we're talking about bailing out Argentina. So that's what's going on. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I don't have all the answers to the Argentina thing, as this just appeared today. And honestly, I'm really surprised that they're doing this. I'm not surprised in terms of the corruption point of view, but I'm surprised because it just hasn't been rumored or talked about at all. They're just like, surprise, we're going to bail out Argentina. So that's the news. I want to hear your thoughts, especially from people in South America, because you guys are going to get different news than us. And I want to catch y'all in the next video.